Imagine a library containing the lost wisdom of the ancient world. Philosophy, science, plays by Sophocles we thought were gone forever. Now, imagine a wall of fire moving at 400 miles per hour, instantly burying that library under 60 feet of volcanic mud. This isn't a hypothetical. This happened in 79 AD, and for 2,000 years, we thought those voices were silenced. But here is the twist. That fire didn't destroy the books. It turned them into charcoal. It preserved them. They look like burnt logs. If you touch them, they crumble to dust. If you try to open them, they disintegrate. For centuries, archaeologists looked at these lumps knowing the answers to history were inside, but physically impossible to reach. Until now. Because an artificial intelligence just did the impossible. It read a book without opening it. We aren't just translating old texts. We are recovering data from a hard drive that was thrown into a volcano. What if I told you the history books you read in school are missing half the pages, and we just found the rest? Today, we're diving into the Vesuvius challenge and the AI model named Ithaca that is literally predicting the past. This technology isn't just about old papers. It's changing how we understand language, history, and maybe even ourselves. But it also raises a terrifying question. If AI can predict what lost history said, can it also invent it? Are we unlocking the truth? Or are we creating a sophisticated hallucination of the past? The answer lies inside a luxury villa in Herculaneum, buried under 60 feet of solid rock. Let's go digging. To understand why this is a miracle, you have to understand how bad we used to be at this. Traditional epigraphy, the study of inscriptions, is like doing a crossword puzzle where half the clues are missing. And the clues you do have? They are written in a dead language on stone that has been eroded by wind and rain. For centuries, we relied on the Rosetta Stone approach. Find a key, translate word for word. But the Herculaneum scrolls broke that system. They weren't just hard to read, they were sealed shut. When the volcano erupted, the heat was so intense, over 300 degrees Celsius, it carbonized the paper instantly. Think of it like toast. You put bread in, you get toast. You can't turn the toast back into bread. Early explorers tried to unroll them. It was a disaster. They destroyed hundreds of scrolls just to get a few words. They built crazy machines to peel them apart layer by layer, peeling the skin off an onion with a sledgehammer. We stopped trying. The remaining 600 scrolls sat in a warehouse in Naples, a graveyard of lost knowledge. Enter high-energy physics. If we can't open the book, we need to see through the cover. You know how a CT scan works? It slices your body into digital layers to see your bones. They tried that on the scrolls. It worked, but also, it didn't. Here is the chemistry problem. Ancient ink was made of carbon, soot. The paper was made of plant, carbon. To a standard X-ray, carbon on carbon is invisible. It's like trying to read a message written in water on a wet window. The structure was there, the layers were visible, but the pages appeared blank. It seemed like the fire had won. The information was physically gone. But this is where computer vision steps in, because computers can see things the human eye can't. Even though the ink and paper are both carbon, the ink sits on top of the paper. It creates a microscopic texture, a topographical map of letters. We just needed a machine sensitive enough to feel those bumps in a virtual world. The problem? The data was massive. Petabytes of 3D scans. Too much for any human to process. We needed help. We didn't need an archaeologist. We needed a coder. And not just one coder. We needed the entire internet. This is the story of how a computer scientist turned a history mystery into a Silicon Valley space race. Meet Dr. Brent Seals from the University of Kentucky, the man who refused to give up. 20 years ago, he had a crazy idea: virtual unwrapping. He proved it worked on the En-Gedi scroll, an ancient Hebrew Bible found in a burnt synagogue. That was a huge win. But Herculaneum was the final boss. The En-Gedi ink had metal in it. X-rays could see it. The Herculaneum ink was invisible. Seals needed a machine learning model to guess where the ink was, based on the paper's texture. He spent years scanning scrolls at a particle accelerator in the UK, generating terabytes of 3D data. But his team was small. The data was too complex. They were moving too slow. So, in 2023, he did something radical. He gave the data away. He partnered with Silicon Valley investors to launch the Vesuvius Challenge. The deal? Here are the scans. Here is the code. The first person to read a passage gets $700,000. Suddenly, it wasn't just archaeologists. It was SpaceX engineers, physics students, and casual coders. They gamified archaeology, and the internet loves a game. Enter Luke Ferreter, a 21-year-old college student and SpaceX intern. He noticed a subtle pattern in the texture, a crackle that looked different where the ink was. He trained a small AI model to hunt for that crackle. One night, at a party, he checked his phone. The code had finished running. He saw 3 Greek letters: Pi, Omicron, Rho. Porphyros, purple. It was the first word read from an unopened scroll in 2,000 years. But that was just the first word. The real prize required reading 4 full passages. The race was on. Luke had the lead, but Youssef Nader, an Egyptian robotics student in Berlin, was catching up. This wasn't just luck. It was an assembly line of digital reconstruction. Step 1. Segmentation. Finding the layers of papyrus in the 3D scan. The scroll isn't a perfect spiral. It's crushed, twisted, and warped. You have to trace a single sheet of paper through that mess without jumping to the layer above or below. Step 2. Flattening. Taking that warped 3D sheet and making it a 2D image. Step 3. Ink detection. This is where the AI looks at the texture. Youssef's approach was brilliant. He used a domain adaptation model. He didn't just look for ink. He taught the AI to look for the absence of ink to define the letters. It's like seeing a footprint in the sand. You don't see the foot, you see the hole it left behind. October 2023. The deadline is approaching. The images are clearing up. The team is working around the clock. Sleepless nights, energy drinks. They combine their models. Luke, Youssef, and a third student, Julian Schilliger. And then, there it was. Not just a word, paragraphs. They sent it to the papyrologists, the experts who read ancient Greek. The experts were stunned. This wasn't gibberish, it was a philosophical treatise. It was written by Philodemus, the philosopher of the villa. The subject? Pleasure, music, food, the color purple. He talks about how the scarcity of goods affects our pleasure, whether less is more. It's a 2,000-year-old blog post about not being greedy. The Vesuvius Challenge announced the winners. They split the grand prize. But the money didn't matter as much as the milestone. They had done what kings, emperors, and scientists had failed to do for 2 millennia. They unlocked the library. And we have only read about 5% of one scroll. There are 800 more waiting. So what happens next? This is where the story gets bigger than just one villa. First, we finish the library. The goal for 2024 and 2025 is to scan everything. We aren't just looking for philosophy, we're looking for lost history. Many early Christian texts, lost plays, and poems from the 1st century could be in that pile. It's the greatest archaeological time capsule ever found. But the tech goes beyond Herculaneum. This is textual resurrection. Remember the project Ithaca? DeepMind is using similar AI to predict missing text on stone tablets. It looks at the context, the date, the location, the style, and hallucinates the most likely missing words. It's like predictive text on your phone, but for ancient Greece. We can apply this to mummy masks made of recycled papyrus. We can read letters sent home by Roman soldiers, stuck together by mud. We are entering an era of digital archaeology. No shovels, just servers. This changes the economics of history. You don't need a permit to dig in Italy. You just need a data set. It democratizes discovery. The next great historian might be a coder in Mumbai or a gamer in Brazil. But with great power comes, well, you know. This technology isn't perfect, and that is the danger. When Ithaca predicts missing text, it gives probabilities. It says, this is 72% likely to be the word king. But history isn't probability. It either happened or it didn't. If we rely too much on AI, we risk hallucinating history. Imagine a dictator using AI to decode a text that conveniently supports their regime. Or a religious group finding a new commandment that confirms their bias. We have to be careful. AI is a tool for reading, not for writing, the past. We need verification. We need the physical evidence to back up the digital guess. That's why the Vesuvius challenge is so important. It's open source. Everyone checks everyone else's work. It's science, not magic. And science requires proof. Despite the risks, the potential here is beautiful. We are building a bridge to people who lived 2,000 years ago. Philodemus sat in his garden, worried about war, politics, and happiness. 2,000 years later, we are sitting in our rooms, worrying about the exact same things. The technology has changed, the human condition hasn't. AI isn't replacing our history, it's helping us hear it. It's taking the ashes of a disaster and turning them into a voice. There is a massive excavation planned for the Villa of the Papyri. Archaeologists believe there could be a second library, a Latin one. Imagine finding the lost books of Livy, or early accounts of the Roman Empire. The library is open, and the reading has just begun. If you want to help, you can. The Vesuvius challenge is still running. You don't need a PhD, you just need curiosity. And maybe a good graphics card. If you love stories about how technology is unlocking the mysteries of the past, hit that subscribe button. I've got a video coming up on how AI is decoding whale language next. You don't want to miss it. Thanks for watching. Keep digging.